I really appreciate all this, the faithfulness, the people come up here and just join my live, and hopefully, like I said, that this live will help you in some area of your life and can open up your eyes to see something maybe you've never seen before, or else what good would it be? it would just be me coming up here killing time. and I just believe that what God shows me is something to get us past that kind of attitude of just killing time. We all kind of do that with our phones. We just are scanning and scrolling and doing all we can to just fill up our day. So hopefully when you come here, hey, you're going to grab something. The only thing that's going to help you change your life is to get something that you're not familiar with. If you already knew the answers by what you were doing, then you would be at the highest point of your life and the highest point that your potential can bring you. But obviously, none of us are there. We have potential to be there. We have wired to be there, but doesn't necessarily mean we're there. So that means, hey, look, if there's another rung on the ladder, we just make sure to keep climbing because it's there. And until we just, recognize it. So, Cesare, thank you for joining. Thank you for the birthday wish. I appreciate it. Anybody in here bold enough outside of my family to guess my age? Supergirl, happy birthday, ... Thank y'all very much. But anyway, we'll get started in just a moment. Just give someone else. Emily said 50 yesterday. Hey, I kind of like that. Oh, yeah. Justin, thank you for joining. We have 8 people in here already, man. That's awesome. It's great. So, yes, I just, again, appreciate everything. So let's go on and get started. Happy birthday. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. All right. So, we've been talking about life as we always do. We talk about the mind of Christ. We talk about how to connect these and how to bring them into association in our mindset so we can clearly understand the mechanics of our mind. Unless you understand the mechanics of your mind, and it's going to be very difficult to fix it. So you need to know how your mind works. Jesus gave us many scriptures where he told us plainly and alluded to the fact that the kingdom is within us, that you possess the power, you have the faith. It's going to be the faith that works within you that brings about the changes that you desire. We were all raised to think that everything we need is out here. It's before us. It's way out there. But your future is not before you. Your future is within you. And your future is called your present moment in what you think. So if you kind of look at this, you're not trying to change your position and move like we do. I'm going to leave home and I'm going to travel to the beach. But I have to leave where I'm at in order to get where I desire to be. When it comes to that kind of thinking, it's called linear. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, that kind of thing, until you progress. But in God's way of doing things, you never leave your present moment. Your present moment goes with you everywhere. And in your present moment is what you think. And what you think is what your present moment will manifest all around you. It becomes this energy or this frequency, this presence around you. And so your present moment is the only moment you will ever experience. Some people say, yeah, but I can go back in the past in my memory, and I can reflect on the things that I did last week or last year or that vacation we took 10 years ago. People still talking about that vacation they took 10 years ago and how wonderful it was. Went to Disney World or something. But when you're challenging people to say, okay, but when you were back there 10 years ago, it was your present moment. Now, you can grab a memory. A memory is not the present moment. You're going back on a memory. Now, the memory has the ability to strike up some type of energy that can affect your present moment, because you're using your imagination to go back and see that. And so all of those things that you choose to focus on in your present moment, whether it's the past or maybe the future, but you're going to experience the energy that comes with that, but you're going to experience it in your present moment. So in reality, your present moment is the only thing you've got. You can't go back to the past and bring proof to your present moment that you were there. Some people say, yeah, well, I got a picture of, when I was at the beach last year. I see that. That's proof. No, because you're showing me in your present moment the picture. But you're not going back to the past and bring evidence of the past into the present moment. That's not evidence of the past. All you have is right now. And so the energy you have right now is the energy you're going to replicate in your next present moment. So you have to, if you don't like the energy, if you don't like the vibes, vibration, if you don't like the frequency you're at, I know people get squirrely when they start thinking about, oh, that's new age stuff. No, that's science stuff that's been proven. Thoughts are energy. Thoughts are images. God created you in the image of himself. Oh, see now, God created me to look like him. No, God created you from his imagination. You see that? He created you in his image. So God used an image that he saw of you. And you were created from that image. Now, the interesting thing about God is that when he created you in his image, he just looked at himself. See, because God does his own law. He works his own law. It comes from him. So God desired to replicate himself in his best form, in his best idea. So he saw himself completely with nothing but his glory and goodness. And from that, he created you. So that's why when God sees you, he sees himself. He doesn't see any flaws. He sees himself. So God created you in his image of you. And his image of you was himself. Now, when God created a dog or a cat or a buffalo or a snake or whatever he did, he saw an image of it, and then he saw it, and then he said what he saw, and then it became his present moment, and in his present moment was his creative power. He believed in what he saw and what he said, and when he said what he saw, faith was there to create it. And he created in the natural realm so that when God saw the fish or the buffalo, he said, now that looks good. But it looks good because he said it matches what he saw in his mind. Now that's God's creative process. So when God created you in and through the same system, and he saw himself and then he spoke himself into the earth, God said that was good. Because there was only one good who was good, and that was God. And it wasn't God as in, just God is the supreme being and he's the only one that's good. No, he's saying everything that comes from God is good. Is good. Why? Because it came from God's system. The way he works. Now, the interesting thing is that when God created you in his image, or he used a system, a governing system, to create you, he put within you the ability to have the same creative system. Now, he didn't put that in the animals. He didn't put that in the trees. They're not creative. Why? Because they don't have the ability to use an imagination to replicate the way God created all things. But within the man, he gave the man the capacity to have and use and create through an imagination. And all he needed to do that was to have words of life, because words are given to produce the image called hope in the mind of a man, so he could see the goodness that could be allotted towards him through his own creative ability. So he gave him the ability to hear words and speak words so he could maintain an image by which from that would become the blueprint that he would say, that's good. And he would say what he saw in his imagination. And when he would say what he saw in his imagination, he'd be so convinced of it that it caused faith. Faith is a confidence that says, if I say it, see it, say it, and be it, it is. And God meant for mankind to operate in that system. But unfortunately, he went from his imagination to his physical senses. Now, when you're walking by your imagination, you have the ability to increase this vibration, this frequency, this God-given ability to change your surroundings. Because remember, everything that comes to you came from you. So you're like a magnet, and you have the ability to increase the strength of your pulling power, your pulling force, by what you see in your mind. And this is the system by which you have been created in. And most people don't. They squander this power on using their senses and saying it is what it is. So we're never going to have enough. We're never going to be. We're never going to do. We're never going to have that. And it's always going to be that. And the fear rises up. And then fear connects you to the death you fear the most. In the book of Job, it tells us, Job said this. He said, the thing I greatly feared came upon me. All he was saying is the thing that he kept seeing, saying, and being in that fear based on what his senses were saying, based on the stuff that he saw was happening to his family, his livestock, all of his things. Do you see that? Everything was happening to him physically, and he believed it. And it became this thing, creative power in him, that started to make that stuff happen. And see, we don't know the kind of power we really have to create our present moment. So you could be going through hell on earth right now. You could be really having some bad situations happening to you right now. Well, what's that got to do with it? Yeah, but you don't understand. I don't need to understand that. I don't have to understand what you're going through. The only thing I have to know is the answer. And the answer is the same. It never changes. What Jesus discovered and what he preached and what he gave was the answer. He said, I am the way, I am the truth. And here's the answer. The way, the truth. The way is very narrow. The truth is something that nobody finds much of. They don't really know what it is. But it's called life. And that life is built into a system called the kingdom. It's a governing system that you have been wired for, to think in your present moment what you desire and what you see. And if you can step into it, you become creative. And what happens is people get so frustrated because they're like, well, I didn't create all this stuff I'm seeing out here. I didn't do anything to deserve what they did to me, you know. And then so they say, well, I had nothing to do with that. But this stuff is being thrown at me in all directions. And they have no idea. Well, see, by law, you're magnetizing everything to you. You might not want to admit the fact that you are who you are because you chose to be who you are, and you just have no idea how to get out of it because you keep thinking that you're that, and you're not good enough, and you never have enough money, and and all this, and people just don't like it, and all this other kind of stuff. You thinking that all the time. See, it's law. It's got nothing to do with God's punishing you, or that you're just bouncing off of somebody else's wrong thinking. is coming from a system, an operating system in your mind. And see, once we can stand up and be accountable for that, then it's not like, oh, I got to be condemned by all this stuff. No, it's about, if you don't want cold water, but you want hot water, well, then just cut the cold water off and cut the hot water on. It's as simple as that. If you don't like what you're going through, change the very foundation that's creating the energy that's making all that bad stuff happen. The truth is, people don't want to step into that kind of accountability. It's like the old saying it goes, to be ignorant is bliss. So we think, well, if we don't know, God won't hold us accountable. So whenever we start hearing the truth, we go, okay, hold on. Let's find a distraction so I don't have to hear it. And maybe it won't get real deep down into me so I feel like I'm accountable to actually do something. So I've come to find out that's the main reason why people don't want to get close to the light, because they realize there comes understanding with it. And then with understanding comes responsibility. And people don't want the responsibility. So I'm not going to get close to the light because I would rather act like I don't know. And if I act like I don't know, then, God will spare me, right? But we don't understand that we're destroyed by our own ignorance. So here's the truth, is that we are spirit. We have a soul, mind, will, and emotions, and we live in a physical body. The body is what we've always used to communicate our truth to ourselves. Because the carnal flesh has these senses that pick up information and give us information. It's like the sensors in your car. If something is wrong and you're going to get that engine light that comes on, you don't know what it is. You got to take it to the shop and they got to plug it into a computer, and then it tells what the situation is, and they come back and tell you what it is, and then you got to deal with whatever that situation is. Well, you have senses that are telling you and giving you all this information all day, every day, all the time. And so this information, as it keeps flooding and reciprocating back to us, the evidence, I see that this certain thing looks like it's headed my way. And then when it hits, I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. I just knew that negative thing was going to happen. I could feel it. That's all coming from the senses. And we've trusted our senses so much that we believe that's just the way it is. But see, that creates, you have to understand, your senses have an energy to them. Your physical body has an energy to it. Your mental capacity has an energy to it. And your spirit, or you could call it your consciousness, has an energy to it. Now, we have been relying so much on the physical energy, what we believe, what we see out here, our physical senses. But that energy or that vibration is at the lowest kind of vibration. It is so low. It has a ceiling to it. And it changes so frequently. Frequency. See, because it has just constantly flowing, because you can be in a great mood until you get that phone call and that guy ticks you off, and next thing you know, Or you could be in a bad mood and somebody hand you $1,000 and all of a sudden you're in a great mood. See, the stuff just like this. The standard is just so whatever our senses and whatever individually what pleases us or displeases us, that's the way our frequency will be. And it's almost like it's impossible to control it because we're relying so much on what is out here. And so out here changes so much. But that's why we're up and down all the time. And so what we believe today based on our senses is not what we're going to believe tomorrow, because it'll change. Something will happen. So, but if we rely on the carnal, physical kind of energy, then it puts a cap on the kind of life and the quality of life our physical man can experience. The truth is, we were never meant to live by the physical energy that comes from our senses. No. Because that kind of energy is what creates the carnal mind. And remember, I told you your mind has an energy to it. And when your carnal senses, which is energy, communicates with a mind that settles for that energy, then that energy in the carnal mind cannot increase the energy of the body or of the flesh. It just comes down to its level. And since the physical body can only operate through the senses to a certain level of vibration, then it causes your life and the expression of your life and the quality of your life to be just as unstable as the tides are in all the information that your physical senses pick up. Like I said, it's okay today, terrible tomorrow. That's the reason why everything can be great in your body today, and then tomorrow find out you got a terminal disease. And you're shocked. Because that's the way the energy works. That's the way life works in your body if you depend on your senses. Because your senses can only cause your carnal mind to rise to a level. Because I told you that your carnal mind was educated by your senses. So whatever your senses are looking for as its resolve or as its answer, your carnal mind can't rise above that. It just equals the energy that your body is putting out. This is the reason why that God showed me that when the woman with the issue of blood, who had had this blood disease for 12 years, she kept going to the doctor and telling them what her body was saying. Now, what her body was speaking, whether she was talking about a physical thing, it's an energy that she's transferring from her body, her senses, from her carnal mind, speaking to doctors. The carnal information, the vibration, the frequency she's giving to them, they have to go to her body, so they got to down the frequency to what her body is saying, and then the information they get from her body correlates with now the information that their carnal mind sees coming from her body, and then they tell her exactly what her body says, which is on the same frequency, and neither of them can rise above it. Because the body has been the standard. So that frequency, that vibration, is where she would have stayed. That's why it says she got nothing better, but she rather grew worse. Because her body was the standard. That's you can't rise above what your body's saying if that's what you're believing. If what your body's saying is the frequency and vibration and the truth of your present moment, well then that's all you're ever going to have. And your body is not designed in and of itself to live by the information that comes from the physical senses. It is always changing. And like anything else, you get a brand new car, but if you don't maintain it with a power that can change and make everything new, then eventually your car is going to rust, your motor's going to break down, your transmission's gone. I mean, you got to change your oil filter, got to change your oil every 3 months or so forth. It's just constantly, if you depend on what it says, if you don't change it with some kind of maintenance, it'll die. So you can't go on just what the car is saying and say, yeah, well, I just believe that's just the way it is and the oil's in there. And I know the oil sticks, it tells me a certain amount, but, I just believe that it can provide for itself. That reminds me, I'm terrible when it comes to that. And I went to change my oil. This was years ago. And my daughter was out there with me. And I pulled the oil stick out. And it was, you're supposed to have this much oil, and I had about this much oil. And I thought I was just playing, because that's just kind of my thinking is, and I said, yeah, it takes 6 quarts, but we like to use 2. And you kind of run it on the bare minimum. Well, see, eventually, kerplunk, the thing will blow up, because it has to be oiled. Well, and they know I'm not, I don't give much thought to that. As a matter of fact, my wife does. Adam, have you checked the oil? I just checked it yesterday, honey. Well, I'm just making sure. That kind of deal. because she knows who she's dealing with. Making my mind on so many other things. Anyway, get my point, right? If all you do is let your body tell you your information, and your body, without some kind of maintenance to keep the body's vibration up, and it'll stay at the vibration it's meant to stay at carnally, and it'll just die. So if we can figure out how to keep the frequency to where it stays new and enter into a higher frequency that can govern the frequency of your senses and the limitations of that, then you can raise the frequency of the body to a more dominant, higher frequency. You can raise it up. But you can't do it by depending solely on the flesh. So that's where you have to switch in your mind, in your mental energy. You have to switch from thinking carnal and connecting your carnal mind to the carnal vibration of your body where it never changes. Because remember, your carnal mind only says what your senses tell it. The carnal mind has no ability to rise above what the vibration of your body says. I hope I'm helping somebody understand this. This is part of the mechanics. So the carnal mind has to change the way it thinks by switching to the mind of Christ. And there is where your imagination kicks in with different images and different ideas of hope, which raises your vibration. As a matter of fact, if you had a choice to go on what your wallet says, by your physical senses, by the information your senses tell you, which you're also getting information from the world, and they tell you what you are, whether you're powerful if you have any money, and if you don't have any, you're just going to repeat back what the world says that your pocketbook says that your physical senses are saying, and then just keep you at a vibration where you think you're nothing. But if you could see yourself wealthy, and you will change your vibration. You're going to change your vibration in the mind of Christ. Now, whichever vibration is dominant, if your carnal mind is connected to your physical senses and your physical body, and it can only rise to the level of that, to where it can only, it's like telling your car, yes, I believe car, you're supposed to maintain yourself, and I believe, yeah, you got oil in it. It ain't much, but I believe you can make it happen. And we can transmission fluid. I haven't checked you in 6-7 years. You're supposed to stay in there all the time, right? Doesn't it just kind of reproduce itself in there? Tires, I understand. I figure like you're talking to me. You got them metal things, them threads there is metal. I see that, but maybe you're just shining like the glory. But I know somehow some new rubber. Maybe it'll pick it up from the road. I don't understand. Maybe it'll just happen, and you just let the car do that. It's just going to die. Well, that's what happens with your carnal mind. It just says what your body says and it stays there. But the moment you enter into the capacity, the mental faculty of your imagination, that's when you're dealing with frequency and vibration and joy and hope. That hope's against the kind of hope your senses are telling you. And when you stay there, it begins to affect the frequency that operates in your spiritual man. You see, because your spiritual man is represented, now it might be difficult to catch this, your spiritual man and the vibration that decides what quality of life your body is going to live by outside of the physical senses is determined by your subconscious mind. That subconscious mind is the one that stands at the door. And when your imagination changes the frequency, then your carnal mind has to step out of the way and your subconscious mind takes over. And whatever is decided at a higher frequency, that subconscious mind acts as if it is now the authority to change the vibration that runs through the body. And see, the subconscious mind is like the representation or the ambassador of the mind of Christ. And as we begin to see, say, and be those things, it affects us on a spiritual level, or a level, or you could put it this way, you become consciously aware. See, because your spirit is your consciousness. It's what you're consciously aware of. That's the spirit of you. It's the esprit de corps, he tells in the Marine Corps. It's the center of your joy. And when your frequency rises to a level where your hope kicks in, then there becomes a hope of glory. And the subconscious mind is the one that recognizes the difference between the carnal mind and the mind of Christ. And whichever is the dominant conversation, that subconscious mind is going to make the switch to where the physical body and the vibration that's been limited by the physical senses has to rise. But it's not doing it based on the information getting from the senses. It's doing it based on the imagination. And your body don't have a choice, because the senses now have to step aside because there's new information being put into that. So you tell me, would you rather look at a wall that has nothing? Would you rather look in the mirror and see a body that's infected by cancer and disease and all that? Or would you rather use your imagination and put your faith in that and start to believe that and call that good and engage the governing system called the kingdom of heaven within you that makes you look creative the same way by the same system that God himself uses and used to create everything? It's like God created everything and then put his system into man so the man can maintain it. The same way when you understand the mechanics of how your car works, you can maintain now how your car works, instead of just leaving it up to the car and have a ding-dong like me running it. See, because I don't have a mechanics, automotive mechanic mindset. So don't bring it to me. You might be highly disappointed. But, I know how to change the windshield wiper fluid. Well, once my wife tells me. I mean, to do it. But I'm just saying, look, if you could just use your imagination and believe it. See, what things have you desire? What do you desire? Well, that's where your hope is. That's where your imagination is. What you desire. I desire that. Well, then God gives you the desires of your heart. In other words, if you can see, say, and be it, it's already yours. You have to see it as if it already is yours. Because your physical senses ain't going to agree with that. It's not going to give you that information. And so if we can switch our mind, you switch your vibration, you switch your frequency. And these are the mechanics of how you do it. How do you go from a rotten attitude to a great attitude? Change what you focus on. Loyalties to a focus. You're either going to be loyal to what your physical senses tell you, which locks you into a vibration, and the carnal mind can only rise to the level of your physical senses, which this is why everybody has, when they get a bad report, everybody talks about it. Then they go tell somebody else. Because everybody can relate to what the physical senses show us. Because we've all been taught by it. But find the person. When you come tell them a negative report, they go, it'll be all right. And they're not even flinching. Why? Because they see something totally different. Everybody else will be affected by it, but not me. How can they have such confidence? Well, who do you think you are? They think that people are arrogant. No, they just think different. This is the why of a billionaire, when you take a look at finances, they may not know anything about life and how to conquer death, physical death, but they know how to conquer lack. It's the same system. They just have a different kind of focus. They focus on wealth. They don't focus on living from week to week, paycheck to paycheck. Wealth is a whole different way of thinking financially. So you could, a billionaire can lose all his money, and what have you taken from him? It's like what we're told in the book of Hebrews. Said, you took joyfully the spoiling of your goods because you knew that you had in you and in heaven a better operating system by which you could count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. Because you already know temptation comes from your own carnal mindset. It comes from the laws in your carnal mind. But your hope supersedes what your carnal mind shows it. So your carnal mind says you don't have, but the mind of Christ says, oh, hold on a second. All things are mine to richly enjoy. I'm not in lack of anything. Nothing. Yeah, but you don't understand. And because everybody wants to go shift right to their physical senses to try to bring proof. And all you're doing is you're making your present moment exactly what your senses are telling it, and it locks it into it. And therefore, when you start believing that your present moment is what your physical senses tell you, then you're just copying and pasting this present moment to your next present moment. And it's just constantly, nothing seems to change because it's in this loop in this present moment. You got to break out of that somehow. So what I'm telling you is that what you are experiencing is coming from a consciousness, a vibration and a frequency that is in place. And if you are consciously aware of your carnal mind that's getting its information from your physical senses, then even your own spiritual energy will lock you into the law of sin and death. No way out of it. Because your spirit only functions to the level of your carnal mind or the mind of Christ. So if you can become spiritually aware, consciously aware that there's something greater than your physical senses, then you will start looking for words of life that validate that truth. And you will stay there until the subconscious mind, which is the ambassador of the spiritual man. And your spiritual man operates by laws, either the law of sin and death and the law of the spirit of life. So your soul, where your mind is, the carnal mind, mind of Christ, where the battle is for the greatest message, the loudest message. So your spirit don't even have the control. It's all happening in your mind. So if I can understand, see, this is the awesome thing about it. If I can use my imagination, I will tap into the highest power my spiritual man can provide. And that's God's life. That's where this law, the spirit of life, comes from your spiritual man. But if I don't know how to use my mind right, my carnal mind will engage the same life that's in my spirit, but it'll be used against me. That's called the law of sin and death. So all this is why the conversation you face, and the only thing you got to focus on, is what either you walk by sight, you walk by your senses, or you walk by faith that lays hold on eternal life. And faith comes by hearing the word. And the word are the images that you hear from life when you hear the life preached to you. Now it produces images that get you out of the pit. And you don't have to physically be out of the pit to be out of the pit. You could be in the pit just like Joseph was and still have a dream. In other words, he used his imagination. He believed what was said to him. He believed it. And so he never came out of it. No matter what, he was in prison, he was falsely accused and in pits, and yet he said, no, I'll stick with what I see in my mind, in his imagination, because that's where the word came to him, and he saw it in his mind. That made the difference. That's what created the victory. Everybody wants the victory, but they still want to lean on their carnal mind. And they still want to believe what they're seeing out here. See, I can tell you this because I can give you all the information and everybody still go back to their carnal mind. Yeah, well, I just believe, that's just too hard. No, what's really hard is when when death comes knocking on your door and you have no way out. Now that's hard. See, here's what the mind of Christ can actually do. The mind of Christ can take, Lord Jesus, get this. The mind of Christ that sees and uses the information that comes from your imagination and then triggers the consciousness and the vibration of your inner man, your spirit, can cause your molecular structure in your body to change to where when you pull out of your driveway and that Mack truck comes, the Mack truck won't even hit you nor the car to go right through. And it ain't the truck, it's everything that's about you. You can touch your car, sit on the seat, and the car will become the vibration that your body is emanating. And that truck will go right through your car and you as if you were nothing. This is why if you look at the movies, oh man, that was a ghost. It's not a ghost. It's just the molecular structure changes. Jesus could be walking in the midst of people and they're trying to throw him off of the brow of the hill and he walked right in the midst of them. He just walked right through them. They couldn't touch him. They couldn't get a hold of him. How do you think that was happening? Happening in the very same way I'm telling you. If you can think and use your imagination and stay there, it'll change the molecular structure because it's going to tap into your spiritual man where the highest energy now can be used for you and not against you. And nothing by any means will hurt you. No weapon formed against you. That truck coming against you, it's not like the guy driving the truck was just determined to hit. It could just be like an accident. And you can avoid the accident because everything changes. See, that takes you thinking differently. You have to think differently. You can't think like old brother so-and-so, pastor so-and-so. They don't know anything about this. They're just going to keep you locked into a governing system called the economics. Won't you help me? And then take the world system and piggyback on it, dress it up like it's a little spiritual thing, and then say God needs this to keep the lights on. But it's really just the world system based on their own experience that if they can't have a good credit score, they can't borrow anything. And the church has to have a good credit score, and we have to have a lot of people coming with a lot of money so our credit score will be good, and therefore we can get the loan we need to build that 10,000 seat mega church. And yet everything that's preached in there is now about trying to keep the lights on and then live off of and move upon the emotions of people still, because see, the people know that if they can't pay their bills, their lights are going to get cut off. If they don't make their car payment, they're going to lose their car. So they understand in that mentality that we need to help the church because we don't want their lights cut off and we don't want that. And plus it's a representation of the minds of the people in here. And, we want our church to be looking we want our grounds to be nice and cut and groomed. And because, we have this thing, it's our church and that's our pastor. And yet just down the road is a great big cemetery for all the people in the church that one day they all want to gather together. Forsake not the assembling of yourself together, not in the church, but in the graveyard. I hate to do that, but when you get down to it, there is no system that's saving the people because the message is about Jesus and not about what he said. Because Jesus' message was not a religious one. It was a law message. It dealt with the law of the capacity and faculties of a human being. Jesus' message was about the operating system of the human being. He said, if you can believe, it shall be unto you. That's the message, and I believe that's exactly what the church is supposed to be preaching. They're supposed to be relieving people from their carnal mindset, raising their vibration by giving them hope, which is a promise of life, and they could see it in their mind where they are the best, and they don't have to work for it. It's not by works, it's by grace. It's by a power given unto you, pointing you to who you are in Christ, and the system that you're to walk in, the mind of Christ, the kingdom of heaven within you. And your level of immersion would determine the level of conversion. You can't, that's why I tell you guys, you can't dip into this thing once in a while and say, yeah, I'll just try it. I'll just do this. Might as well. I got some time doing. I'll go and I'll read what he said, and I'll try to watch this thing in the midst of me trying to do whatever. I'm trying to change my oil and listen to you at the same time. you know, and not that total immersion, saying, hold on a second, I don't want to miss a single word, because a word, friend, is life. and you want to be able to catch the words so you can catch the image. Your job is to take my words and put it in image form in your imagination. Now, what images you put in your imagination, that's up to you, because there's absolutely no limit to what the life of God can do for you and through you. It's no limit to it. The only limit is the limit of focus and the loyalties to a focus that we have. We take it to a certain measure, and whatever you sow in your mind, you will see in time. How quickly, how deep will you get immersed in it? See, the good thing about this, guys, is what I'm telling you, it costs you nothing but your focus. You can either stay where you are, go by that pastor that just constantly keeps asking you for money and keep coming every week after week. You can do that. You can keep going to the job and work day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. So you physically can't do it anymore. They'll say, oh, good, just retire. That means basically become irrelevant. Or you can take that McDonald's job you have, making minimum wage, and see yourself driving a Cadillac. And be at work, living by the joy of the hope you have, which becomes your strength and your glory. And people are wondering, what are you doing? Oh, man, you don't know who I have a vision, man. And I tell you, one day I'm going to buy this franchise, and you just have something that's greater than what your pocketbook can validate. Because that's where your faith works. Your faith don't work out here. Giving your money to the church is not going to make faith multiply it. No, faith works in your imagination. So I don't care if you gave just a penny. You can take that penny in your mind and make it $1 million. You see that? So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. You have the power. You hold it. What I'm trying to give you is the operating information. So you could either believe somebody that charges you for it, or you can at least say, hey, well, let me give some serious thought to this, because you have to change your thinking, and you might as well get so immersed in it that it becomes your dominant thought. Because, friends, when you master your mind, you master your life. If you can harness words in your imagination, you will harness the life in your spirit. And your spirit operates at the highest frequency. And if you can follow what I'm saying, you will take that life, that energy, that frequency, and it will finally be used for you and not against you. Because all death is the misuse of the energy that's in your spirit. You have all the energy your spirit holds. There is no, it's endless life. But it could be endless death, depending on how you use your mind. You go by your senses, well, you already know what that is. To be carnally minded is death. So the energy in your spirit, it'll be used against you. But if you don't do what they did in the Old Testament, come against the prophet, and they ended up spending, 40 years in the wilderness wandering around until death hit them. But if you can take the word, take the example, when they believed Moses, the parting of the Red Sea, they came over to the promised land. All this stuff, if you believe what the prophet said, you'll get the reward of the prophet. What is the reward of the prophet? It's his word in your imagination determining to prove itself to you. Because when you see what you see in your mind and you see it manifest around you, that's the only proof of God you will ever have. Everybody's looking for an angel. No. The only proof of God that you have and can show the world is the documented where your heart becomes the book of life. Your heart, your mind. When you can write it. The tongue is a pen of a ready writer. It writes in the imagination. And it will write down in detail. See, the more detailed you get in your imagination, where you begin to smell the new car, you smell the kind of life you desire, you just smell health You feel it. You feel vibrant, even though your physical body is like, oh God, that's hard for me to even get up. Just you start seeing something totally different in your mind. That's the good news you're writing. It wasn't about just taking the Bible and saying that's the Word of God. No, he wanted you to become the Word of God, written in the hearts of others when they look at you and wonder, how in the hell did that happen? He said hell. Yes, I knew he was a crook. Let's not go on what you say every day. Who cares, friends? It's not all in your actions, it's in your thinking. And I'm telling you, your imagination or your physical senses. You know how it is sometimes people go to church, amen, brother, hallelujah, hallelujah, God bless you. That's great. Get out of the church. You can't even walk near the guy's car because it's like a puff factory in there. So, everything around you. I say, this is the kind of cloud of the Lord right here. I think this must be the glory. Because when he gets in the car, I can't see the difference between him and the cloud. As he gets lost, he's walking in the midst of God. So we focus so much on the actions and we don't even use the imagination. We're too busy trying to live by a standard that everybody else, a carnal mindset says, well, you see that? Don't do that. You're not under any carnal law. Don't look to your actions and try to change your actions because you're going to have to switch to your works. Go to your imagination. Live there. Your actions are going to, everything about your physical life will change because your vibrations is going to change and you're only going to draw to you what your vibration is. So you might as well just use your imagination, increase your vibration, see there, be there, love there, enjoy there, because it will conform to out here. You might as well do that. And don't worry about whether you smoke or drink or do anything. What's that got to do with it? You can't stop your actions and make the glory work for you. You're just going to continue looking to see whether it's working out here. Don't. Stay in your imagination. Let the law of life work everything else out. That's how you get rid of condemnation. Get rid of the carnal law in your thinking. There is no carnal law in your imagination. Nobody's dumb enough to see themselves with cancer in their imagination. Are you kidding me? That's called worry. And if people knew what they were doing, they wouldn't do it. All right, guys, I got this puzzle thing coming up here. All right, well, I guess I'm about done. I want to thank y'all so much for being here. The word is rich. It's wealthy. But you have to understand how your mind works. Now, I've been telling you guys that my wife and I have been working on a course called The Mechanics of the Mind. And so as I have been making the outline and completing all of that, me and her completing all of that, it dawned on me that I can take this information and I can send it to you in an email like I was saying. I will just send it to you in an email. But it hit me the other day to go on and just write a book out of this information, take the outline and just write a book. And instead of just sending you the outline or sending you the course in an email, I could just write the book and then put it on the app called Inkit, where I've got one book completed and I've got a couple of other books started and that I've been working on, and then just send you a link to that book. And therefore you would have the book and all the information. And you would have to download it. You could just stream it. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. Inkit it's an app you can download on your phone, or get it on your computer. Just get in there and key Inkit and then go in there. Then you just look for my username, which is the same as TikTok's Godman Superman. And then it'll pull up the books that I've either finished or the ones I'm working on if I've uploaded or submitted anything. And then that way I could just send you the link to Inkit and you'll have the book. And I don't have to work twice on it, trying to send the course and then try to write the book. I'll just put all the information in the book, send you a link to the book, and it's free. So it don't cost anything to get the app and it don't cost anything to use it. And that's why I wanted to be able to do that when I wrote it. I didn't want it to cost me anything other than my focus to write it. And I didn't want it to cost people anything to read it. So we're trying to keep it to where it don't cost anything, period. And then it doesn't cost me where I'm having to work on two fronts. so So that's what I'll probably end up doing. So anybody that said that they want to get the book and they've sent me an email, then what I'll end up doing, or they want the course, I will just get the book finished and send the link to the book. And I think that'll be easier. And then you can share that link to others, and then they can just access the book also. I think it'd be a lot easier. That way I won't have to know everybody's, email in order for you to send it. You can just share that link to whoever you want to. But guys, I want to thank you. I appreciate, TBN Publishing. I might have to check that out and see how that is. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. But I want you guys to know how much I appreciate you, and I thank you for being here. And as far as I know, I'll be back tonight. And of course, since it is my birthday, we're going to see how this works out. I think we have some things in the works that my family has prepared for me, and we may end up doing that next week. So if anything changes, I'll be sure to let you know if I'm not going to be going live. But thank you again for your support. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for believing in yourself. Start using your imagination. Stay there, regardless of what your physical senses say. Just stay there. You'll see the law work in your life. Well, until we meet again, I'm Adam King. God bless you. Bye-bye.